Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Stamp and Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Tonight we're going to have some fun because we're going to do a little bit of grayscale coloring. We're going to do kind of a black and white theme, and I thought this would be good because so often, you know me, I'm a rainbow girl. I love all the colors and I love bright, colorful cards. But every once in a while, it's fun to just step outside of the box and do something just a little bit different. And I haven't made a black and white or grayscale card in over 2 years, and I thought it would be time to make one. So that's the plan tonight. We'll see how it goes. I'm actually going to try to make 2 cards because the one card that I want to make, I'm going to be doing a little bit of coloring, but I also wanted to do a more modern style card with that same grayscale feel. So we'll see what we have time for. But before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great, better than horrible, actually. And welcome everybody, all you Crafter Dinner crowd.
Yes, the Crafter Dinner crowd. Doesn't it seem like we've been away for a while?
Years.
It really does.
What happened?
I don't know. We missed one Thursday, and it feels like I was like nervous. Like, do I remember how to do this?
It's like we took one of those trips around the solar system or something and came back. Yes, glad to be back.
Yes, well, you maybe will come back with a word of the day?
Might come back with a word of the day at that, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get started because I'm going to try to make 2 cards tonight, so we'll see how that goes.
Yes, and you're in the grayscale.
I'm in the gray space tonight. And somebody was asking, is it gray, G-R-A-Y, or gray, G-R-E-Y? And both are correct. You can spell it either way. That's my understanding.
Wow, you checked it out, huh?
Well, I Googled it. I don't know. Do you believe everything on Google?
All right.
But I think maybe different countries spell it different ways. I know in the U.S. we spell it gray a lot. We spell G-R-A-Y mostly. But there's probably some little parameters in there. I don't know, Tom. If you get a chance over there, see if you can find anything out about it.
Right away.
Okay. All right, so I want to show you the stamp set that I'm going to be using tonight. This is the Sweet Memory stamp set. I am reaching back. This is an oldie but goodie. And this is one that was created by Argita. And I'm going to be using this big floral design. Now, I wanted to make a sympathy card. And I thought, because gray, and black and white, I feel like that's such a great color scheme for a sympathy card. Also, the muted pinks are beautiful, things like that. But I thought this would be really pretty. And the first stamp set I picked up there's one called Happy Flowers. I thought, hey, I'm going to use Happy Flowers to make a sympathy card. That just didn't seem like the right thing to do. So I looked a little bit deeper, and then I found the Sweet Memories one. And it's got so many great greetings for sympathy cards and just cards of encouragement. I'm here for you. Just with love and prayers. And then it does have a hello sweet friend, so if you want a more upbeat one, but with sympathy, and I love this saying, may your memories be a blessing. And then just a tiny so sorry for, when you have a big flower and you just have a little space to put a greeting. So I love this one. It's a beautiful flower. It looks a little bit like an anemone, but I'm not sure. Is that how you say it, Tom? Or is that a sea animal? I don't even know. I'm not sure what. I'll ask Argita what kind of flower this is.
Yeah, you just had me thinking, where is there undersea creature on that?
Anemone.
Anemone is the undersea thing, isn't it?
Okay, well,
We're really
well, you know
going off
what?
the
Wendy
rails
just said it's a dogwood, so I'm going with that.
I'm out.
It's a dogwood. Okay. All right, so we're going to use this for my card tonight. So I'm going to, I'll tell you, I mean, I just say anything, and sometimes it sticks. All right, I'm going to use my Misty for this because this is a big stamp, and I have a big piece of cardstock here because this flower is huge. Yeah, it does look like a dogwood. In fact, I love dogwoods, and I don't know why I didn't think of that. So I had used one of the greetings on this set, and then I put this set away, and I got all involved with the kid. And I haven't really played much with this stamp set, so I think it's going to be fun. Just kind of looking at the die, the coordinating die is just huge for this, and I think that's the way it'll go. So I wanted to just look at it with the die before I laid it down to see if it was complicated. So like I said, I haven't used this stamp before, so when it's a brand new stamp, you really do have to prep it a little bit. And I do that by running my thumbs over the entire set, or my fingers, just to kind of remove a little bit of the manufacturing residue. Although it's not that imperative that you do that, because you can just stamp it a bunch of times and that will help as well. You can also put a little Versamark or embossing and watermark ink over there, or you can take it to the sink with a toothbrush and a little Dawn detergent, an old toothbrush, and a little Dawn detergent, and just scrub it up. There's always a manufacturing residue on there, and if you don't make the time to clean it off, you might struggle just a little bit. So, see, I see people, yes, anemone is it's a flower. Yes, I knew that. See, I wasn't wrong.
It's both.
It's both?
Yeah,
just
I
like
think
gray
so.
and gray is both.
Right.
So, first time using the stamp, and we'll see what kind of good impression we get. And again, I don't want to smash this down too hard because there are fine lines on there. So I would rather stamp it more than once and, keep that nice crisp line than squish it too hard and then have it kind of be a little bit distorted. So let's just do this a couple times.
Okay, we got a question. Early question here.
Yes.
Can you explain what mulberry paper is and how to use it? We'd love to see you do a show on it.
I haven't used mulberry paper in a really long time, and I don't know a whole lot about it. I do know that with mulberry paper, you can take a paintbrush and draw a line on it, and then it tears, and it has that frayed kind of silky edge. It almost looks like little hairs, but it's been probably, I don't know, 15, 18 years since I've used mulberry paper. So I would have to look into that. I don't have any mulberry paper in my collection, and so I would have to look into that.
And Heidi wants to know, so she shouldn't use her hubby's toothbrush.
Well, it depends.
Maybe he could use some manufacturing residue.
Maybe. That's funny. Oh, I always try to tell Tom, I didn't use yours. Don't worry, hun. Okay. So now we're going to color this. I can actually leave it right here in the Misty while we color. We're going to color this. Should I leave it? No, maybe I'll pull it out. With some black and gray colored pencils. And we're actually going to stick with just black to begin with. And if I need some grays in there, I will add them. But I'm not sure if I do. And I'm not sure which direction I want this flower to go. Maybe like this. This looks like how it's supposed to go. So maybe we'll do it this way. But I grabbed a couple of Prismacolor pencils here. And I grabbed a black, which is 100. I think it's 100. Maybe I'm thinking of the Copic marker. The pencil number is PC935 for black. And then I got two warm grays. There's warm gray, there's cool gray, and there's French gray in the Prismacolors. There might be more grays, but I think those are the three that I have. And I have 70% warm gray and 50% warm gray. And again, I'm not sure if I'm even going to need these because I'm going to be using a black pencil and some Gamsol. So we'll see how this goes. But I want to start with a blending stump. Now you can see my blending stump here has some turquoise on the end, and I've got one of these Staedtler, it's just like a rough paper, almost like a nail file. It's sandpaper. But I'm going to use that and just kind of go in a circular motion. I am rotating this. I'm turning it as I file. And that helps keep the point nice and pointy. You know, if you just do it all on one side, you're going to kind of run... You don't want to go like over the top and flatten the point is what I'm trying to say. I like having a point on there. I'm going to do both sides just in case it gets a little too saturated for me because I am only using the one color. Or if I decide to go with the light gray, I might want to use the opposite side. Okay. So our black Onyx ink, which is the ink that I stamped this with, is very friendly with Copic markers and also with Prismacolor pencils and Gamsol. It is not friendly with watercolor though. So if you're choosing to watercolor, I would definitely use our amalgam ink and I would heat set it. And depending on where you live, it can take a little while to completely dry if it's humid where you are. So I would suggest heat setting it, maybe just letting it sit overnight if it's really humid where you live. But with the amalgam ink, you can color with any medium and all of them together. So I don't really do a lot of watercoloring, so I tend to reach for the black Onyx more, but for those of you that love it all, definitely try the amalgam. Okay, so we're going to start here. Now, let's see if I can get a little bit closer.
And what paper did you use there?
Oh, I'm just using the Gina K Designs Layering Weight White. All right, so I'm going to color in here a little bit of black. I'm going to just leave that space around those little stamen in there. Trying to remember all the terms tonight. Okay. Now it's not going to look so black once I get the Gamsol on there. So let's just go around like this and then let's see what happens. Okay, so I've got a little jar here. Let's zoom out again because this is crazy. I've got a little jar here and I've got some Gamsol. This is by Gamblin, but there are other types of odorless mineral spirits that are artist grade that you can use. Gamsol is a brand name, but it's kind of like Kleenex. We call it all Gamsol now because it's so popular, but Gamsol is Gamblin's name for it. It's 100% pure odorless mineral spirits, but not like the kind that you get at the hardware store. This is an artist grade. It's refined differently, and you want to make sure that you used artist grade. You can also use something like this, which is lavender spike oil. I've tried it and I like it, but I don't like it as much as Gamsol. But if you're very sensitive, this might work better for you because it's just made from lavender and other natural. It's all natural. And then there's also something called Zest It, which works really great, and it's made from oranges. So that I've seen more in the UK. So if you're in the UK, check out Zest It. I've been trying to get Zest It in our store because I really do like it. So we'll see if that ever comes to pass. All right, so now what we're going to do is I just want to color this a little bit at a time and see how it goes. So I'm going to dip my blending stump into my Gamsol, and you can see I'm holding it in there for a minute because I really want the blending stump to pick up some of that odorless mineral spirits or Gamsol. I don't want it, you don't want to just like bloop in there because it's not going to be enough. And then you're going to start right on that color, and you're going to see that the color starts to break down. The wax in that color starts to break down, and then we're going to continue to go in a circular motion and bring that color out.
And what is that stamp set again?
This stamp set is called Sweet Memories. And you can see how that's like, you see how that, such a cool look, isn't it? Okay, so I think I will need a little bit more. I'm going to go with the warm gray here. I'm going to add a little bit of that in here and see how this looks. Just like that.
That makes it instantly three-dimensional.
What's that? It does, right? Doesn't it? You definitely want to have enough color down that you can move enough of that color. But you also want to leave some white space, which is totally fine. Like, I'm not worried about going all the way to the edge there. I'm just leaving it like that. Now, I'm going to color a little bit close to this leaf. Like that. And then I'm going to bring some of that color out as well. That just kind of darkens it up where almost that leaf would be casting a little bit of a shadow. I also want to do the other side over here, just along the leaf. Right there. And you can color and then use your blending stump as you go to make sure that you have enough color. Or you can color the whole thing first if you want, and then do your Gamsol part. But I like to do it as I go because I just feel like I like seeing it come to life. It's so fun. All right, now let's do the next petal here. It shouldn't take very long to do this. I'm going around these again.
Maggie's asking, will you ever consider 3D embossing folders? Is that what she said?
Oh, possibly. Possibly. I need to talk to somebody about how to create them. I did actually talk to our graphic designer about that, and he knows how to do everything, so it wouldn't surprise me if he would be able to do some of those for me. I know how to do the 2D ones. I don't have any problem designing those, but the 3D ones are a little trickier. Okay. So you can see I'm just grabbing that wax, that color and that wax, and then just working my way up. You can hear it getting a little squeaky. I love that look. It's just so pretty. Okay, and then again, just a little bit around this leaf right here, just to kind of enhance that a little bit. Okay.
Do we have a release date yet?
Yes, the release date is April 30th. All right, so we're coming in here. I highly encourage you to try coloring with blacks and grays and just see what you think. May not be exactly something that, you know, you think, oh, you know how like with rainbow stuff, you see something really bright and fun, like stuff that I've done with the modern florals or the stencil one that I did the other night, and everybody was just grabbing all their colors and having a great time. But you really have to just try this because it is really cool. Okay.
How hard do you press with the blending stump?
I don't press very hard. It's not really necessary to press very hard. You just have to have enough color down to work the stick. It's pretty smooth actually, but you just have to have enough color on there. If it's not moving, it's probably because you didn't have enough colored pencil down. Let's get a little more gray in there and make it a little bit more haphazard. But it does, you're right, Tom. Isn't that like so dimensional? And I like the way those two grays look together, like the black and then that warm gray. It's really pretty.
Barbara's asking, does the paper get wet and ball up if
No,
you paint
not at
too
all.
long?
Not at all. Gamsol is kind of like, in a way, you know how like alcohol just dries almost like instantly when it touches a surface? It's kind of like that. So you don't have to worry about it pilling the paper. You could go over it and over it and over it as many times as you want, and the paper doesn't pill at all like it does with water. That's why I don't use watercolor paper, because it really doesn't even matter.
And do you dip the stump each time?
I dip it, not each time. I dip it just when it feels like it's getting too squeaky. You'll know what I mean when you start practicing. You'll kind of start to feel like it's getting a little bit squeaky. Okay. So I'm going to color this kind of dark in here. I know this is, I don't know which part of the flower that is, if it's this one flipping up or this one underneath, so I'm not good at seeing light and stuff like that. I'm a crafter through and through, not an artist. I know a lot of you are artists and crafters. Me, not so much. I think I might highlight the stamen in here with a white gel pen too. You have to be brave to color with black though, because it is kind of a little scary. You start coloring and you're like, oh, I don't know if I like this. And then you start to see the Gamsol like move the color, and it's like, okay, I'm not as scared as I was earlier. And the thing I like about the Gamsol is all that texture that it puts in there. It just puts so much texture. That's why I do that circular motion, because it feels like it gets more texture in there when you do that. Get a little of that lighter gray. Okay, we'll work that up. It's funny too, when you get the warm gray in there with the black, it starts to pull a little blue out of the black. You start to see just a little bit of blue in that. And I'm just gonna go with the black along these lines here and just work my way out like that. So the lines in the flowers, I just like to put a little color next to the lines because it kind of accents the lines a little bit. See how that's just giving a little accent? And again, this may not be your thing at all, and I totally get that, but I really like the way it looks. I'm gonna kind of go along here. And then work down. Okay. All right. So we're getting there. And welcome everyone. It's great to see all of you. You know, my coloring videos, a lot of times not as many people like the coloring videos because it moves a little slow for them. But then sometimes I'll say that and then I get a bunch of people saying, no, it's really relaxing and I like to see how you get there. So although I won't do them all the time, I do like to add them once in a while for people.
And again, what kind of pencil is that?
That's just a Prismacolor pencil. So it's a wax-based pencil. It's not a watercolor pencil. And the thing about it is, you know, Prismacolor pencils, they're not super expensive. They're doable for crafters. There are also some really amazing pencils like Caron pencils. They're a lot more expensive. I bought a couple and I very quickly, you know, realized that I do not deserve Caron pencils. And the reason I say that is because I hear artists say all the time what a huge difference there is in Caron pencils and Prismacolor pencils. And to me, they felt exactly the same, which means that I don't deserve them because I do not understand the fine differences between a polychromo pencil, the polychromos, the Prismacolor. I do see a huge difference between Prismacolor and Crayola, but Crayola, the regular pencils, you actually can use with Gamsol, which is pretty cool. Many, many years ago, I wrote for a magazine. a crafting magazine, and my job was to like test products. And so one of the articles that I wrote is I did the difference between Crayola pencils and Prismacolor pencils. And I actually colored the same exact image with colors that were pretty close between the two pencils. And I got it to look pretty good. I'll tell you the big difference that I noticed between the Prismacolors and the Crayolas was the amount of wax. So Crayola pencils have a lot more wax and a lot less pigment, because I guess the pigment is the expensive part, right? So they have a lot less. So when I did my my samples side by side, the Prismacolor ones were super bright, very bright and vibrant, and the Crayola ones were very muted. But if you are brand new and you are on a very tight budget and you want to just try this technique a little bit, I would say, you know, get yourself a little bit of Gamsol, get some really good high quality blending stumps. I'm telling you, I think the blending stumps are almost more important, because there are some really bad ones out there. We sell these on our website. These are the Creative Mark ones, and we carry them. And we have them just in this small size now. So I really like that. A lot of times you go, you know, and you look at them and they have a whole set of them, and you have to get the real big ones and stuff. And I don't use the big ones for what I do. So we decided to get the small ones in and package them that way for everybody. So this way, you know, you don't have to deal with stumps that you don't really need. And the stumps make a huge difference. So these are a softer blending stump, and there are differences. Like there's something called a tortillon, I think it's called. It's spelled like tortillon. Don't get those. They don't work. They work for other things, but they do not work for this technique. They are just rolled paper, and you will be so frustrated. These are pressed paper, so they're different. You want to make sure that you've got good blending stumps. That's a big part of it. But, you know, if you're just getting started and you just have some Crayola pencils laying around, what the heck? Give it a shot. See how you like it. And then if you like it, then I'm going to say, don't buy every colored, don't buy the 1,000 pack of colored pencils. And I'm telling you that from experience, because I bought the 1,000 pack. It's not really 1,000, but there are hundreds of pencils out there. And unless you're really an artist, and I know a lot of you are, but if you're not, you're going to find that you don't need 20 grays, and you don't need every single version of turquoise and aqua, especially if you're doing this, because this kind of mimics having all the different colors, right? This looks like black into a lighter gray, into a lighter gray, into a lighter gray. So if I could do it over again and I was on a budget, I would probably get about my top 12 pencil colors and I would stop there. I'd get a good red, I'd get a turquoise, I'd get a good leafy green, you know. I have some videos on how to use the other colors that we don't really use very much, like the real light yellows and the real light greens. I do have some videos on things that you can do with them just because I had them, and I'm like, I gotta find something I can do with this. But yeah, if I was just starting out, I would rethink the way I did my colored pencils. I probably would also rethink the way I did my Copic markers, and I might look at someone like Jen Shirkus or, you know, Kathy Rakusin, Debbie Hughes, you know, people that are really good with Copic markers, and just kind of watch them make a card and then just get those colors and work with those for a while. I know we all have full set syndrome, and for some things it's really good because we use the full set. But for this, I don't know. If you're just starting out, you might not need the full set. But if you get a great deal on it, then I say go for it. The one thing that you should have, though, is a good pencil sharpener. And I use this one. My friend Caron Hightower gave me this. This is the Eye Orbit, the Eye Point Orbit. She gave me this one. This one plugs in, so this is the little adapter for the plug. I also had the black one, and I've shown that so many times. It's battery operated, the black one. The big difference is the electric one. This thing in here is metal, and on the battery operated one, it's like a hard plastic. They're both really good, but I did break my battery operated one, so it went to the crafting graveyard. I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit here. You can always go back.
So
Yes.
Ruby has a quest.
A quest?
A question.
Okay.
Can you blend colors together with Gamsol?
Yes, you can. You can. And I'll show you that. I'll show you that really quickly. So let me find two colors that would blend together. Let's do, here's a purple and here's a blue. Okay. So if you take a little bit of purple and you take a little bit of blue, right? And then you dip your blending stump. This is something that I would practice. Just practice moving the color like this, right? And get it lighter as you get toward the purple. And then do the purple. And then do the purple over the blue. And you see how when you go over the line between them, you start to get that bluish purple. Now you can color a little bit of blue into the purple. You can color a little bit of purple down into the blue. And then use that blending stump and just kind of blend that all together. Now you have more of a fade. You see that? It's definitely a different look than a Copic marker though, so remember that you're not going to get that like streak-free look. You're going to get streaks. It's going to look streaky. When I say streaky, like textured, where you don't really get that texture from Copics. Let's see if we can add a little bit of gel pen on here. I do need a little bit of a rougher cardstock, so I will, to get my gel pen started. And then I think I'm going to go over these just to bring these out a little bit more. Here, I'll zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. See, I kind of colored over them, so you want to get your gel pen started. And then just color over just to really make them pop. You can go outside of the lines too. It doesn't matter. You can barely see the black lines. But we'll really pop those little things out. Is that too close? Is that blurry, Tom? Sometimes I get...
Looks fine to me.
Okay. You know, and if you feel like that's not enough and you want to like add a little bit more, you can always add a few more if you want in there, but you can see the big difference when you color over it and how... See, I'm talking and my gel pen's drying out a little bit, so I want to get the ball rolling. Here's a little trick too about gel pens. This is the Uniball Signo gel pen. I love it. It's one of my favorites. What happens with gel pens? They stop working because of the gel is like paint, you know, and it dries up in there, and there's actually a ball in the end there that has to be able to roll. So I use a more textured cardstock to get the ball rolling. And if you have to remember there's a ball that's rolling in here. So if you press too hard, the ball can't roll. This is a Uniball Signo. We sell them in our store. A light touch will give you more gel than a heavy touch. So grab your old gel pens and give it a try and see if maybe you've just been pressing too hard because you're not letting the ball roll. I hope that makes sense.
And a question from Debbie. Do you need to seal your artwork so it doesn't smear?
No, this won't smear at all. This will not smear at all. You will not need to do that, Debbie. Okay. There we go. So I think that pops those centers out just a little bit. Yeah, I think that was something that I always did. I always thought every gel pen I bought was bad because I'd use it once or twice and then it would stop working. But if you run that under hot water just to get that paint flowing again, and then light touch, just barely touching the paper, get the gel flowing and get the ball rolling. Just always think there's a ball in the end. I got to get the ball rolling. Okay.
And you don't have to store those in any way special?
No, I just toss it in the drawer. Okay. So I think I'm just going to maybe add a little bit here. I probably should have done the gel pen at the end. And then I think I'm just going to lightly color a little bit in here. Not a lot. I'm not going to use Gamsol for this. See, I'm like the lightest touch ever. But I just want to add a little bit of color in there. I might use the Gamsol, we'll see. But I'm just doing the lightest touch. It almost looks a little stippled. I'll show you up close and see if you can see that look. I don't know. We'll see how close we can get. Does it look a little dotted there, Tom? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's take the blending stump and let's just see what happens when we blend this out, because this is going to look very, very light compared to the rest. It's going to look more gray. I could use gray, yes, I could use gray, but see, all we're kind of doing there is just smoothing it out, the little stippled look. There we go. So that's got a little gray feel to it. It's going to do that quickly on the others. Just a little light coloring.
And then Deborah is asking, is a white uni Polska pen similar to the gel pen?
Yes, and they're great. That's a great pen. So if you have that, that'll work just as great as the Uniball.
And do you need to clean the stump? Can you reuse them?
Oh, yes. Just let it dry, though, before you try to sand it. Because, you know, just like you wouldn't really want to file your nails when they're wet, it's the same kind of thing. You want to just let it dry, and then you can just sand that color off. And you can use it over and over and over again until it's just too small. But, you know, you might want to have a few of them. If you're working in color, it's better to have a few, since you can't really clean it while it's wet. So you might want to have, you know, well, they come in I think they come in I want to say a 6-pack, which is plenty, because remember, you have two sides. So I used this side for the purple and stuff that I was working on. So 2 sides is totally enough.
Grayscale's relaxing. It's like your brain doesn't have to work as hard.
Yeah, it's true.
Take it where I can get it.
Yeah, same. But I think this is kind of cool. And the thing that I like about the Grayscale is the idea that it feels a little bit more somber, you know, like if you're making a sympathy card. Because when I was designing some of my foil designs, I remember like kicking around the idea, well, I want to have all the greetings. I am really close. I'm sorry if you're watching on a huge TV. And I was thinking, oh, do I have all the greetings? I have birthday, I have thank you, should I put sympathy? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to send a foiled card as a sympathy card. It's like, hey, it's like a big party, right? Well, sometimes I feel that way when it comes to color. like, I don't know how bright I want to make a sympathy card. I tend to go for like innocent pink and sea glass and, you know, the real kind of soft pastel colors. I don't want it to be too bright. So this is just another option. I'm going to color that like that there.
Question from Marta. I have a Prismacolor blender. Could it be used with Gamsol?
So the Prismacolor blender pen, is it a pencil? She has to answer that, Tom, so look for her answer. Is she talking about the Prismacolor blender pencil, or is she talking about a Prismacolor blender pen? Because they're different. Well, maybe I'll just answer what both are. So if you have the Prismacolor pencil blender, it does help to move the color a little bit, and it does kind of help to blend over the seams. It smooths the color out a little bit. It doesn't work quite as effectively as Gamsol.
It's a pencil.
It's the pencil, yes. So the pencil doesn't work quite as effectively as Gamsol. It'll do a little bit, but it's really meant to like help smooth out the texture a little bit. And you know, sometimes like the Copic blender pen, it's really a misnomer. I don't think that it should be called that because it doesn't blend color. It pulls color off. But like, what are you going to call it, right? The Prismacolor marker, blender marker, does the same thing. It pulls color off. So you might have seen me use a Copic blender pen when I'm adding a little bit of texture into something where I want to pull some color off and create like some dots or, you know, stuff like that. You want to, maybe you went a little too heavy on some color and you want to lighten it up. The Prismacolor blender pencil feels very waxy and it kind of like breaks things down a little bit. Okay, I think that is enough coloring for this. And I think it's kind of cool. It feels a little tattooy to me and I like it. All right, so is my gel pen dry though? Because I should have thought of that because I want to die cut this. All right, we'll take our chances. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out using my Intracut. That does look nice. It's kind of weird at first when you start coloring with it and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to like that. But once you get it done, it is different. I need another little piece of Masking Magic. Why do I only have 1/16 of an inch Masking Magic here when I need a bigger piece? Let me use a quarter inch one. It'll be fine. This is a big die. We kind of want to lay out our design before we make a commitment to stick it down. Okay, so we're gonna cut this out and hope for the best. Okay, I think this is gonna be good. There it is. There she is. Okay, so next, I don't know if I'm gonna get to that second card. But if I don't get to the second card tonight, because we do an hour, if I don't get to the second card tonight, that will give me another opportunity to do a grayscale with a more modern feel. Because I have some ideas for that, but I don't want to rush through it because I really want to, you know, I want to take my time and go through it with you. So we'll see. This card was a little more complicated. Okay, I'm going to use Master Layouts 2 here. And my plate is pretty bent. I need to take it home and run it under the sink. I did my one at home under the sink last night because I was die cutting for a class. And oh my gosh, it felt so much better to do that, to just, you know, get that plate flat again. All you have to do is turn your sink on hot, like hot, and just throw the plate into the sink and just run the water on it for a little bit. And then once the plate gets a little soft, just flex it back into shape and then let it cool. You could put a book over it. You don't even have to. I didn't last night. I just flexed it back into shape and kept going. Now I'm cutting. I don't need it this tight. That's pretty tight. I'm cutting the plain rectangle from Master Layouts 2 now. Maybe I will have Tom videotape me flattening out my plate, because I know a lot of people want to see how to do it. So maybe I'll take the plate home and we'll use his iPhone, and then I'll just share it in our Facebook group. And I know a lot of you watch here on YouTube, so I could see if I could like throw it up onto our YouTube shorts, because it would just be a few minutes of a video. Okay, now's the tricky part, figuring out how we want this to look. So maybe we'll do it like this, and then we can make a horizontal card, and then we can use the little with sympathy down here, like on the bottom. That would be really pretty, wouldn't it? Do you guys like that idea? I like all the stuff like sticking out all over the edges. And if we have the with sympathy right there, yeah, I think we're gonna do that. Okay. So we'll get the with sympathy down, and the reason why I'm not putting the flower down first is because I want to do the greeting first and make sure that there's room for it. And I want to make sure that this word sympathy is straight. Looks like it is. But I might do the little test first. Which is just to pull the acetate sheet off the back and put it on top. Then we can test it and make sure it looks straight. I like to test it, especially when you go through all this work, and I don't want to have to recut this piece. So, does that look straight, or does that look like it's going downhill a little bit? What do you think, Tom? Does that look straight?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll clean that off the acetate.
Well, you're depending on my eyes a little too much tonight.
Well, I mean, how are your eyes?
Oh, I'm seeing through the clouds, okay.
Well, if you can see it through the clouds, then people should be able to see it with good eyesight. That's why I'm relying on you. Well, that's a nice greeting. I love that. This is such a pretty flower. I feel like it would be gorgeous embossed, and then, you know, maybe embossed in white, like the total opposite, and then, you know, a little ink blended over it with some bright color. But I think it's nice to have an option and to do something a little bit different with these big flowers. Yes, you're right. Word of the day, Tom. They're asking for the word of the day. Don't forget the word of the day.
All right.
This is a good time, too, because I have to assemble this. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and assemble while you come up with the word of the day.
Okay, today's word of the day. So we've all seen Gina
Oh, no.
put together like lattice work, any type of, she's often done piecing together of card elements, like a lattice work.
Yeah.
Where she doesn't measure.
No.
She just eyeballs it.
Yes.
And she does, what other things do you do where you just eyeball it and just line it up and do the best you can?
Oh, I just cut paper like that a lot of times.
Yeah, so if that stresses you out, you have anxiety. She's creating anxiety in you.
I'm sorry.
Word of the day. Back to the dead space.
That's great. I like that word. Okay, so now, you know, I cut this and I'm gonna score it, but I think I might want to use a different color. I'm thinking to use a gray would be really pretty. So we're gonna look at it both ways. We're gonna look at it with white, And then I'm also going to use a piece of, and where did it go? Where did I put it? I had a whole bunch of gray cardstock. See, that's the problem. I pulled the gray cardstock out so I wouldn't lose it, and now I don't know where I put it. But I'm going to find it because it's around here somewhere. All right, here's something close. There we go. I think this will work. So this is Stormy Sky. And I just want to see it with Stormy Sky too. Anxiety. That is funny. That's a good one. I like that. So I thought about doing a little bit of texture on here, but I don't know that I need to because this flower is so big, right? If I did texture, what I would do is I would add a little bit of something like this Harvest Flourish under here. Just a little gray. Oh, what the heck, let's do it. So I have a black blending brush here. I don't know what's on it. It's either black or gray. I'm gonna, oh, it's black. Let's brush some of that off. We don't need that. And then, I don't even know if you're gonna see this, but if you, just in case we do, I'm gonna kind of cover this up. It's a good place to hold it. I'm gonna add just a little bit of color back here. Just a little bit like that. See, just a mist of color. Gives me a little bit of texture without being intrusive. See, you can barely see it, but it's there. Maybe I'll add maybe a little bit over here, just so that you can see a little bit. Right there, a little down here. There. I'll take a picture of this and you'll be able to see it better. I think you can see it. I like that. It's pretty. It's just soft. I want a little bit, because of the angle of the flower, I feel like we need just a little bit right there. Yeah, like that. Kind of takes up the place of like an embossing folder or something, because it's not real obvious. And then this is what it would look like on the gray. Now, it probably doesn't look good to you right now because my table is gray. So let me get a different color. I'll just get some white cardstock to lay this on so you can see how that would look. So that would be what it would look like with the gray background, which I actually think is really beautiful. I feel like it finishes it off and it pulls all the gray together. Now let's look at it against the white. We'll look at it against the white. It's pretty. It really accents the flower, like there's nothing but flower there, right? It's what you see. But let's be honest. I wish I could take a poll. Gray or black? I think I personally like the gray a little bit better. Because, I mean, it is a grayscale card, right? So having that extra gray just brings it all together. Otherwise, it's a lot. Yeah, everybody's saying gray. Okay. Well, it might be a few people that like the white, and that's okay. But I think gray will do it. Now, I colored this on 80-pound layering weight white cardstock, which is my favorite cardstock to color on when I'm using it as a layer. But if you wanted this a little thicker, you could just cut some blank flowers and just glue them together to make it a little bit thicker if you wanted that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this up with some foam squares just so the whole design is lifted a little bit off the card. Yeah, I agree. I think both are really pretty, and you can't go wrong with either one. Nobody's going to say, huh, I don't like this sympathy card because she used a white card base. But both side by side, I have to say that the gray wins a little bit more for me. So that's why I'm going with it.
So lifting the flowers off, will that create another shadow?
It might. Yeah, there'll be a little shadow there. And then I'm going to position this so that most of the leaves are inside this card base. It extends just a tiny bit there and a tiny bit there, but luckily the envelopes are big enough, an A2 envelope is big enough that it could handle just that tiny little point going onto the outside. Now I have something exciting to share with you. On Thursday, during our live, my friend Simon Hurley is going to come down and be here in the studio with me, and we're going to go live together. And it's stuck before I was ready. I should just put glue on the back. This way I could wiggle it a little bit. Let's see how that looks. It looks pretty good. Okay. And he has a new line of products called neon solar paste or neon lunar paste. And we're going to mix his lunar paste, his new neons, with the Electropop neon inks. And we're going to do some techniques and some cards and stuff. So make sure if you are free around lunchtime for our Crafternoon Live, Simon Hurley will be right here in the studio with us live. All right. Well, what do you think? Do you like this idea? You like the grayscale? Don't you think it's perfect for a sympathy card? Or even just, you know, hey, I'm thinking of you. Maybe you know somebody that is sick. They're going through something. Maybe they're going through chemo, or they're going through a divorce or anything. You could do this grayscale kind of thing with just a real heartfelt greeting on there, whatever it is. Thinking of you, love you. And I feel like it's a little bit more of a somber look, but it's still very beautiful and still has lots of depth and dimension when you use it, when you do it with Gamsol. You could also get this look with Copic markers for sure, but you have to know what you're doing, and I know a lot of you do, but I don't. So Gamsol it is. All right, well, guys, this was so much fun, and we appreciate you giving us your time this Tuesday night. I had a lot of fun. Did you have fun, Tom?
Great fun to be back.
How about if we give away a gift card?
Okay.
All right, we're going to give away a $15 gift card to Gina K Designs. You can use it whenever you want. You can save it for a release. You can save it up until you get another gift card from somebody. They don't expire because they're gift cards. They're not coupons. So let's give one away to one of the lucky members of the chat.
One of the commenters.
Yes, commenters.
Okay, cheesy drum roll, please. Here it is. Woo. And the winner is Jill Periard Caron.
Yay, Jill! Congratulations! Woohoo! All right, Jill, all you have to do is send your name and email address where you want this gift card delivered to info@ginakdesigns.com, and we will get that emailed out to you. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this technique, and I hope you'll give it a try. If you do, come on over to our Facebook group. It's Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. Join us in the group. Share your beautiful projects. We love to see what you make with Gina K Designs stamps and dies and stencils. And Tom and I will be back with special guest Simon Hurley Thursday at noon Central Time, and I'll be posting that in our group and here on YouTube as well. Thank you all so much for being with us. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.